What scares you about the New York Jets? Is it Aaron Rodgers, 40 years old and kind of broken? Is it Breece Hall? What is it about this team that scares you? Is it the defensive line? The defense in general? I know a lot of folks are talking about our banged up, non-rhythmic offensive line who has not had a bunch of time to get comfortable together. We got a new right guard. You got left tackle who is holding out, and I understand the concern about that. But I have good news. Despite the fact that they're stacking up against the number one defensive line in the NFL, our very own defensive linemen, Malik Collins, Javon Hargrave, Jordan Elliott, and Kevin Givens, have some good news for you. If that's what you're worried about, I got hope for you. I'm going to break that down in a second. And also later in the show, we're going to have a huge injury update, including guys like Christian McCaffrey, YGM, etc. Some news on Ricky Pearsall, what Matt Barrows and NFL executives want you to know ahead of the 2024 campaign, and more. If you're new here, I'm Nate. We're talking the 49ers. It really helps me out if you'd sub up and hit the like button. Malik Collins wants you to know something about starting right guard, rookie out of Kansas, third-round draft pick Dominic Purdy. He said this, quote, "It's my 9th camp, and he's definitely the most polished rookie I've ever been around." Wow. Strong statement from Malik Collins. The guy knows his offensive lineman because he's been going up against them his whole life, and he knows the NFL level, and he has a lot to say about this rookie. That is some high praise. Strong statement from Collins. He and the other three guys on the football team have more to say about their experience going to head-to-head with Dominic Purdy and this offensive line in training camp this year, and I can't wait to break it all down for you. So let's just jump straight in. This is coming from The Athletic, so I'm not going to be showing anything from them because it's behind a paywall, but Collins also said you can definitely feel his strength. His ability to recover is what makes him different. And that's the thing we talked about this offseason when Dominic Purdy was signed, and we had, all the videos after the fact and kind of what do we think about Dominic Purdy. Everyone talked about his athleticism. All of the draft grades that were negative, one thing that they would all give Dominic Purdy was his athleticism. And you see it here. This is exactly what the players are seeing here. Guys who can shift their body in unnaturally impressive ways in short periods of time to regain balance and positioning. Javon Hargrave agreed with my take and said that Dominic Purdy is a sneaky good athlete. Kevin Givens, I almost said Jevin Kivens. That wouldn't have worked over well. Agreed, also saying that he's a really good athlete, and went on to say that Purdy has been so good at recovering and heading off his opponent that he has had to resort to his plan B several times up against him through the pass rush. Givens also added that he's solid, doesn't look like the biggest guy, but is super strong, like surprisingly so. He was surprised by how little he could knock him back in the run game. Jordan Elliott probably gave him the best praise, saying that he has an IQ that a lot of O-linemen don't ever develop, and he's only a rookie. Those are the words of Malik Collins, Kevin Givens, Jordan Elliott, and Javon Hargrave telling you, look out, this guy's the real deal. They were not surprised. There's even some interesting stuff about it later in the article. I encourage you to check out the Athletic article in full, but there was some really interesting stuff they were talking about. Things they were seeing happen against New Orleans that we were all like gooing about when we were watching the film back and when we were watching highlights on Twitter or whatever, and they were like, on the sidelines, like kind of laughing about it because they were like, oh yeah, those are moves we've tried on him. We've seen that. We've seen how he handles that. So that's really cool. Let's get into the injury update. So injury update here. Two guys who did not practice at all. Yetur Gross-Matos is still out. D. Winters is out as well with an ankle. And then limited today at practice were Christian McCaffrey. We learned today that the Achilles is part of the calf thing, and it has been a part of it. And at first, it seemed like a really big deal. And I'm happy to report to you that Kyle Shanahan was asked about Christian McCaffrey being limited in practice today and what's going on with this calf and what's up with the Achilles. Where did that come from? And he assured everybody, Kyle Shanahan assured everybody that the Achilles calf thing is the same thing it's been this whole time. So what he's been nursing for the last month, same injury. Okay, so that means that this is the same injury then that when Christian McCaffrey was asked if he would play in the first or second preseason game or whatever, if it were a real game, and he said, yes, absolutely, I'd be on the field, that tells you what you need to know about whether or not Christian McCaffrey's going to be on the field. I think he's going to be on the field. I mean, unless something gets worse, I don't expect that to happen unless something gets worse. He's going to be on the field. Isaac Guerrero was limited today with his groin. Juwan Jennings still on his ankle, and Aaron Banks still on his pinky. Okay, so all limited guys. I don't know where they're all at, but I do wonder about Mr. Aaron Banks. I feel like he's a guy that's going to be starting. That's just my gut. It's just a gut feeling, but it is what it is. Okay. By the way, while we're talking about this, comment below. If Christian McCaffrey can't play, for some reason, if Christian McCaffrey is out and he's not playing, what do you think, guys? Can they win against the Jets without Christian McCaffrey? Can the 49ers, star-studded, beautiful, incredible, can the 49ers beat the Jets without Christian McCaffrey? Let me know what you think in the comments. Look forward to joining you there. To be clear, I really do think CMC is playing, and from the videos of him and Kyle Shanahan, I just think he's going to play, so I'm not too worried about it. But it is an interesting question about this football team. How important has Christian McCaffrey become to this football team? Can they win without him? I'd love to see J.P. Mason get some snaps, though. Come on, guys. We gotta get this guy limited reps. We got to take care of him, get him healthy, keep him healthy up into the postseason. That's going to be really important. Okay, Matt Barrows had this really interesting, and David Bonilla covered it. Thanks for that. This really interesting. He showed up in an interesting article. Actually, it was Mike Sando who wrote the article, but he spoke to a bunch of 5 NFL executives and whose expertise span personnel evaluation, contract, salary cap management, and analytics, ranking the NFC teams, putting San Francisco, 4 of the 5 of them put San Francisco at the top. One of them cited the Super Bowl loss and carryover from that being a reason, and potentially talent erosion from guys who, like Christian McCaffrey, just got so many reps. So 4 out of 5 guys say 49ers at the top. But here's what I thought was cool. Here's what Matt Barrow said. It's all set up for success. You can take a magnifying glass and find a couple of cracks on this roster, but it's the best roster in the league. It's the best one that I've covered since I started covering this team in 2002. So there's that. The team has an excellent chance of winning the Super Bowl. The best team since 2002. The best roster in the NFL. That tells me 2 things, and we've talked about it a couple times here, but that tells me, 1, that this football team is the best team, not only in the NFL right now, but is an improvement over their team from last year. And a lot of people have kind of squibbled about that one. Some of you in the comments, and that's totally fair. Have your opinion. I love hearing your opinion. I read every single comment every single day, and I reply to them as soon as I can, when I can. Family's been under the weather, so I'm going to get back to the comments. Don't worry, I'll be there. But I love reading your guys' comments and seeing your takes. Matt Barrow says this team is improved. This is a better team. This is the best team he's ever seen out of the 49ers organization since he started covering them. So that tells you what he thinks about this team and what they did this offseason. One NFL executive Sando spoke with marveled at the 49ers offensive firepower and questioned how any team could possibly contain it. Who is stopping that offense? Are you kidding me? The executive remarked. That's exciting. Not surprising, but exciting. Love to hear it. And surprising in the sense that, execs are out there saying that stuff. One other big piece of news, and then I have a bunch of other things to hop into. One other big piece was the 2024 captains have been announced. 8 captains: Nick Bosa, George Kittle, Fred Warner, Kyle Juszczyk, Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, Deebo Samuel, and Trent Williams. If I'm not mistaken, this is Juice and CMC's first time being captains for the 49ers. So pretty cool there. How about that? 8 captains. Interesting that it was 8. In previous years, it's been 6 or 7. Kyle Shanahan had something to say about that. He said 7 and 8 were like 1 vote off, and the 9th guy was like 8 behind them. So it really was obvious who those 8 were, and the 9th was too far from them. I'd rather not have so many, but I'm not going to pick when the team votes. It's that close. Yeah, that came out weird when I read it out loud. I wonder if I typed that wrong. But whatever the case is, it was so close between 7 and 8 that he had to keep them both in there. You look at it, there's something interesting about the captains. Do you notice what side of the ball they play on? You got Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, and every other captain is on the other side of the ball, on the offensive side of the ball. So it's Nick Bosa and Fred Warner really holding down the fort on the defensive side. And then, of course, George Kittle, Juszczyk, CMC, Purdy, Deebo, and Trent. So there you go. There you have it. On Brock Purdy, let's listen to what Troy Aikman had to say recently about him.
I'm a big fan of Brock Purdy's. And if he had been a first-round pick, we'd all be talking about what an amazing player he is. But because he was the last player taken in the 7th round, he's had an uphill climb in terms of being appreciated for his abilities as opposed to just being a product of the offense. I've always believed that, I think a lot of people get enamored with arm strength. Can this guy run? Can he do all these things athletically? But ultimately, you have to be able to make good decisions, and you have to throw the ball straight. And Brock Purdy is a great example of that for the most part, he makes really good decisions. He's accurate with the football. And then he leaves it up to the playmakers to create separation and get themselves open, and then he delivers the football. So I think he's playing the position at a really high level. I don't care where he was drafted. I don't care what people say about him. I think he's a terrific player.
Absolutely love it. What else? No surprise there, guys. This is the conversation that's happening all the time amongst fans. It's just nice to hear somebody who knows the game so well at such a high level and has so much respect to his name saying that same stuff that we say all the time. Kyle Shanahan said about some Ricky Pearsall updates. Firstly, saying that he thought that he could play against the Jets. That was part of one of the initial things that Ricky Pearsall said to Kyle Shanahan. I think I'm still ready, Coach. And he's like, talking about just in the adrenaline of the moment and all that stuff. Then after that, he said that he'll be taking it easy for about a week to avoid working up a sweat, but that he'll begin his rehab after that. Just remarkable, given that Pearsall took a bullet to the chest just a few days ago, and that is absolutely true. We have I got some footage of him here. Nothing crazy, obviously, but it's crazy to see him walking around just a few days later like nothing happened. He's just walking around. He's holding a football. He really does look like a guy who's on the, he's on injury reserve or he's coming back from injury, pup list or something like that. And he's just out there, wanting to be around the guys. It's just wild, right? Honestly, it looks like, if anything, he looks like Brandon Aiyuk this training camp, right? One other thing on Ricky Pearsall, Kyle Shanahan shared that it's been amazing how quickly Ricky Pearsall has been able to be back with the 49ers facility and around his teammates, and his attitude and poise has impressed the head coach. So all of these wonderful things. There's nothing negative I can think about Ricky Pearsall. I've just been so impressed by him and his character. 49ers also announced Brennan Allen will be QB2. Looks like that's the way that it's going to be going. He technically said it just against the Jets, but typically that's kind of a permanent decision. And then this from John Chapman, great point here. 49ers just redid contracts for 4 all-pro players this offseason, and everyone is talking about how the window is getting smaller or the last dance, not to mention one of, if not the top play caller in the NFL, and they have a QB that's solid, I'll add, and 24 years old. Great little throwback there, by the way. Great throwback on the GIF. Fantastic point of view. Absolutely love it. All right, guys. Right now, as I'm recording, I got to get back to the Kansas City Chiefs playing the Ravens because these are both teams that you could foresee the 49ers playing someday. I'm not going to say anything more than that. I'm not going to jinx anything or whatever, but man, I'm excited. It's actual real football. It's meaningful. It actually counts. It affects an actual win-loss record, so I'm hyped on it, and I'm excited for football to be back. We're just a few days away before the New York Jets come to town, and it gets very, very real. What a time to be alive.